Hey everybody, and welcome to This Week in Hell. I'm your host, John Wilkie. First up today, Andrew Tate's under house arrest. No, that's not deja vu. It happened again. This comes after he and his brother were taken to court on the 22nd, at which point Tristan Tate was placed under special counsel. This is part of an investigation by prosecutors who are currently looking into something that involves 35 victims, one of whom was only 15 at the time the alleged crimes happened. Tate, of course, denies these allegations. He's claiming that, in his words, this is a setup. It is absolutely disgusting. 30 of these girls say we have done nothing wrong. 2 are the mothers of our children. 2 have never even been here to Romania. I probably made him sound a lot better than he actually does there. This comes while the Tate brothers are still awaiting trial on previous charges. Of course, Tate is playing the victim, as you just heard, claiming that it's some sort of conspiracy to silence him and his brother. They were arrested on the 21st, before being taken before the judge, so they could be held for longer than the initial 24-hour period. And next up, the Bayesian yacht sinking. The yacht was carrying 22 people at the time, both passengers and crew. On Monday the 19th, when it was hit by a heavy storm, this resulted in the boat itself, sinking within what appears to be a minute. It was very, very quick. They didn't have a chance. 6 bodies at present have been recovered. Others did survive, with 1 person still missing. So far, the names of those recovered are Jonathan and Judy Bloomer, Chris and Neda Mervillo, a member of the crew, Chef Ricardo Thomas, and a British businessman by the name of Mike Lynch. At present, Mike Lynch's 18-year-old daughter Hannah has not been recovered, although it does seem like she also was drowned in the sinking, and it is simply a matter of finding her body. Mr. Lynch, her father, was a prominent figure in the UK tech industry. Once dubbed the British Steve Jobs. That's probably more of a compliment than it sounds. He and his associates were on the yacht celebrating, actually, a recent acquittal after a long-running legal case. I believe it was going for at least 10 years, which involved him being extradited to the US. He was ultimately exonerated, and at present he is survived by his wife, Angela, and their daughter, Esme. It is believed, as I said, Hannah is still in the wreckage. Divers can only go down for 12 minutes at a time due to the conditions. From my understanding, while they are attempting to recover Hannah, there is no plan at present to recover the wreckage itself, to raise it. There's been widespread speculation from all quarters trying to find someone or something to blame for this, anywhere from the crew and the captain are having fingers pointed at them to design flaws in the ship itself. Trying to find a villain. Investigators will do their work. Information will come out, and time will tell. At present, we simply don't know. And just a quick update to what I just said. The day after I recorded the initial story there, they did actually recover Hannah's body from the wreckage. Sadly, there was very likely never any chance she would survive, as I remarked. However, I think maybe there was some small hope. You hear stories of people surviving in situations like that in air pockets, and they're able to survive long enough to be rescued. Unfortunately, that was not the case here. It has, however, been remarked that given what happened, the boat itself is in remarkably good condition. Seemingly very little damage, so it's going to take a while before they figure out exactly what happened there. But our sympathies are, as ever, with the families of those who have lost their loved ones, and those dealing with the trauma of surviving themselves. And next up, last week I barely and very gently touched on some political issues. It wasn't really about those, it was mentioned more in passing to another relevant story. Some people were upset by that. I had been deliberately trying to avoid two political issues to avoid upsetting those very same people. But I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't, so I'm just going to take the most important news as it comes. Speaking of which, the DNC was this week, going on as I record this actually, and at the time of recording, Tim Walz has just accepted formally the nomination to run as vice president along with Kamala Harris. He remarked in giving his speech, "When we Democrats talk about freedom, we mean the freedom to make a better life for yourself and the people you love. Freedom to make your own healthcare decisions. And yeah, your kids. Freedom to go to school without worrying about being shot dead in the hall." He left the stage to Neil Young's Rockin' in the Free World. Permission was given by Neil Young himself for them to use this song, which is a favourite of Walz's. It's an interesting thing to note that the Trump campaign were sued by Neil Young in 2020 for attempting to use that same song without permission. Bill Clinton was also there, and he gave a speech in support of Kamala Harris, drawing comparisons between Harris and Trump, citing that Harris is for the people of the United States, whereas Trump is for me, myself, and I. Clinton also acknowledged that the time of people like himself is fading. He's getting older. He mentioned he wouldn't be able to attend too many more conventions like that. And he remarked that, "So the next time you hear him," referring to Trump, "don't count the lies. Count the eyes. His vendettas, his vengeance, his complaints, his conspiracies." Sorry, I'm a voice actor, I couldn't resist. On Thursday, Kamala Harris gave her speech, or rather she will give her speech, because as I'm recording this, I don't believe it's happened. But she saw that moment, as introducing herself to America. Others in attendance to the convention were the singer John Legend, who performed on stage, giving a tribute to Prince, in addition to Stevie Wonder, Oprah Winfrey, Patti LaBelle, Steve Colbert, Common, Lil Jon, and Spike Lee, among many others. And now politically on the flip side of things, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has suspended his campaign for US president. I didn't even know he was still running, to be honest with you. He has claimed that he would remain in the race in states where it wouldn't cause a problem for his boy Trump. So he'll seemingly be removing his name from the ballots in 10 states. So that's where it seems to be at present. While Kennedy had been a Democrat for most of his life, his shifting principles over the years led him to, in his words, "throw my support behind Trump." Now that he is effectively out of the race, his support has been welcomed by the Trump campaign. Kamala Harris has pledged that she would earn the support of Kennedy voters. Kennedy has said that he and Trump's views differ in that there are still many issues and approaches on which we continue to have very serious differences, but are reliant on other key issues. He has remarked that he had no path to victory, that he saw no path to victory at this point. The fact of the matter is, he never did have a path to victory. He's always been a joke. I feel a great deal of sympathy for him, because he never had a chance. His upbringing has always been very... that family has always been a bit off. Filled with tragedy from a very early age. He lost his uncle, he lost his father, even lost his cousin in a plane crash, who was basically the heir apparent. It would be unfair to look at him and just judge him for his political beliefs without feeling a pang of sympathy. But at the end of the day, he's a grown man. He's made choices. They are not necessarily good choices. He never had a chance to win. He was wasting time and money by even running here. It seems that he is hoping his endorsement might actually earn him a position in a potential Trump White House. Trump says he's open to it, so that definitely won't be happening then. In response to this, Kennedy's sister Kerry posted on behalf of herself and Courtney, Chris, and Rory Kennedy, which reads, "We want an America filled with hope and bound together by a shared vision of a brighter future. A future defined by individual freedom, economic promise, and national pride. We believe in Harrison Walls. Our brother's decision to endorse Trump today is a betrayal of the values that our father and family hold most dear. It is a sad ending to a sad story." I'd been listening to a podcast for a few weeks there, a four-part thing. I won't say the name because YouTube. Okay, it's called Behind the Bastards. It's actually on YouTube, and they do profiles on less than reputable figures in the world and sometimes historically as well. And it was an interesting story listening to him, to his upbringing. As I say, I don't think mentally, psychologically, the guy ever had a chance. Had his family been a bit more understanding, had a bit more care, a bit more nuanced at addressing the problems that being in the spotlight from the get-go would have, then maybe he would have turned out differently. But they didn't, and he didn't, so this is what we have now. I think what he needs to do now is just get out of politics. You're a very rich man, Robert. Retire. Go get yourself a nice Mai Tai. Go chill on a beach somewhere, maybe Tahiti. I hear Tahiti is a magical place. And now the entertainment news. First up, Britney Spears' autobiography, The Woman in Me, is getting a big screen adaptation. The Crazy Rich Asians director, John M. Chu, is slated to helm the movie with Mark Platt currently attached as producer. Britney's book was published in October 2023, and this was her chance to share her story, uncensored, unrestricted, after being freed from the conservatorship she was trapped in for 13 years. I have my own feelings about Britney's behaviour since then, but I think we all agree she has a right to have her story heard. As this is an adaptation of a true story, we can likely expect that it will have certain changes made, as all biopics seem to do, partly for the sake of narration, partly for the sake of just creating that version of history. As yet, it is not confirmed whether or not Britney will be fighting Thanos in the final act. We'll see. And before we move on to the In Memoriam section, let's have some updates from last week's video. J.K. Rowling, yes, I know, hadn't tweeted for about 2 weeks, and she'd actually begun deleting a number of tweets from her Twitter account, because she's someone who thinks Twitter is relevant. And people thought, that's unusual for her. She's generally quite active, and why would she delete things after she's been pulled into a court case? Well, I guess she managed to wrestle her phone away from her PR people. I suspect that's what's happened there. She's temporarily turned over the account to her PR people. They've done a bit of a cleanup. And then when she got access back again, the very first thing she does is make an attack on the Mani Khalif. Because of course she did. It's not going to look good for her. And I'm hoping some true justice happens here. Because of course she did. I've got to wonder if it's a compulsion at this point, if she really can't help herself. I mean, I don't feel any sympathy for her anymore. That ship had sailed, as I've said before. Myself, and as a result, this channel, we are very trans-positive. If you're not, then you're not going to win any prizes with me by telling me you're not. Oh, and I think this was a thing that was political for some people last week. This isn't political, love. This is just human. This is just about treating other human beings with respect. And at the end of the day, J.K. Rowling has lost the ability to do that. It's a sad, sad story. And this hate, this campaign of chaos that she's leaving in her wake. This will be her legacy. She's no longer going to be the lady who wrote the cute books about wizards that were, quite frankly, greatly improved by Stephen Fry narrating them. That's how I read the Harry Potter books. Thought they were fun, thought the movies were decent. Not the most remarkable things in the world, but definitely worth your time. Until she became what she became. I don't think she was always that way. A little bit like Graham Linehan. He once upon a time seemed like a smart, reasonable man. The first time I came across him was on a podcast called Harmontown. He was a guest on there, and he seemed like a smart guy. Then years later, I genuinely thought, when I heard about the nonsense he was spouting online, I thought, are there two Graham Linehans? No, same guy. The guy that created Father Ted and the IT crowd. It's a sad, sad world, and they are sad, sad people. First up, although he passed away on July 13th, the cause of death for Richard Simmons has been released. Thomas Esty, Simmons' representative, said in a statement that the LA County Medical Examiner had concluded Richard's death was accidental due to complications from recent falls and heart disease as a contributing factor. The toxicology report was negative, other than medication Richard had been prescribed. And next up, we say goodbye to Phil Donahue. Phil was a beloved American icon. The Phil Donahue Show, later shortened to just Donahue, started in 1967 and ran right up to 1996. He spoke with a variety of people on many topics, some of which were a bit tough. He didn't shy away from discussion on such things. Phil would retire from the show in 1996 when ratings began declining, and he wanted to retire it on his terms instead of letting them be cancelled. He is survived by his wife, Marlo Thomas, whom he had been married to since 1980, and their 5 children. Phil passed away in New York after a long period of ill health. He was 88 years old. And lastly, we say goodbye to John Aprea. John was primarily an actor who appeared in projects like Melrose Place, Lie to Me, and was perhaps best known for his work in The Godfather Part 2. Most recently, he played Mayor Jack Madison in The Bay. His first screen gig was in 1968 with Steve McQueen in the movie Bullet, and he worked pretty consistently since then. John had been married 3 times, first time to Sherry Latimer in 1966, then to Ninon Aprea, formerly Ninon Zenovich, with whom he had a daughter, and in 2016 to Betsy Grassi. He passed away at his home in Los Angeles on August 5th. He was 63 years old. And that brings us to the end of This Week in Hell. I hope you've been enjoying these new videos, and that I hope that more people come in, because they don't do as well as the other videos, which is kind of the opposite of my intent. But I hope more people enjoy them, and I hope you continue to enjoy them for as long as I'm able to do them. So as always, please like and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more, and all my links and things are in the description. Okay, and with that, I'm gonna head off for now, so until next time, thank you very much for watching, and take very good care of yourselves.
Thank you.